Let's start with a poem that I particularly like. And the topic of this talk is the challenging energies. And this poem's called What the Heart Cannot Forget. It's by Joyce Sutphin. Everything remembers something. The rock, its fiery bed, cooling and fissuring into cracked pieces. The rub of watery fingers along its edge. The cloud remembers being elephant, camel, giraffe, remembers being a veil over the face of the sun, gathering itself together for the fall. The turtle remembers the sea, sliding over and under its belly, remembers legs like wings, escaping down the sand under the beaks of savage birds. The tree remembers the story of each ring, the years of drought, the floods, the way things came walking slowly towards it long ago. And the skin remembers its scars, and the bone aches where it was broken. The feet remember the dance, and the arms remember lifting up the child. The heart remembers everything. Everything it loved and gave away. Everything it lost and found again. And everyone it loved. The heart cannot forget. The heart remembers everything it loved and gave away. And everything it lost and found again. And everyone it loved. The heart cannot forget. I like this poem because it points to the, you could say, the visceral connection to our ancestors. And I like it because it also points to the challenges of our species. And I like it because its tenor is soft. And in that softness is the key, points to the key of living in greater ease. So let me explain a little bit. So you're a member of the sole remaining hominid family on this planet. All the other ones have disappeared, and there's been over 20 of them. Homo habilis, the Neanderthals, Australopithecus, on and on and on. It's just Homo sapiens left now. And you do remember. The collective memories of our tribe are carried by each one of us. They're in you. They flow through you. And as I mentioned last night about your ancestors were vigilant, tough, and smart. You know, they were survivors. You know, when you sit still here on retreat, one way to look at it is that intermittently you get visited by those archetypal survival energies of your ancestors. And on retreat, you experience them a little more vividly because you're quiet. You're not distracted by everything. So they're right there again. You know. And when you train yourself in meditation over time, really a major component of what you're doing, what your practice is you're cultivating a more expansive and healthier relationship with these survival energies. You know? You could say you're coming to terms with your humanity just as it is and befriending these energies. So, this morning you're given some pretty simple instructions about how to meditate. And for some of you, they might have been new. For others, you've heard them before, or some form of them before. And they're very simple, but they're not so easy to carry out. And you've probably already noticed how the mind spins itself off. And for some of you, it's just kind of agitated and seemingly going in all directions at once. And some of you might have been overtaken by like a wave of molasses, where there's this thick, gooey haze, or any number of possibilities. So when we pause to retreat, there's just a variety of all the potential energies experienced by a human being. Some of them restful, restorative, beautiful, and others not so much. Some are a bit more challenging. But all of them, all the energies that arise, and this is the main point of this talk, is that all those energies that you experience, those ancestral challenging energies, some of them, those survival juices that pulse through all of us, even those energies deserve your acceptance, your understanding, and even your appreciation. And cultivating that perspective of acceptance and appreciation with some understanding is really personally allowed me to have much greater ease in my life and in this practice. There's been a growing measure of self-acceptance and also affection for myself with that perspective of what these energies are and an appreciation of them. So let's take a little bit of a glance at these challenging energies and talk about them. With each one, I will explore with you of how that energy is actually trying to support you in one way or another. Now, in Pali, these energies are called nivarana. And they cover over, and the literal translation for that is covering, or that which hinders clear seeing. So they cover over the natural perfected heart-mind. We were talking about this in the group this morning a little bit. That natural perfected heart-mind that everyone in this room has experienced multiple times. Generally, it's open to you when you feel safe. You might feel connected, when your heart is open, And at those times, the conditions are ripe for you to feel the kind of truth of your essence. And when you feel it, you know it. Gosh, that's really me. I wish I could feel more of this, more of the time, because it feels so primordially true in a way. So it happens. Maybe when you hold an infant, as they talked about in that poem, with two very young grandchildren, 1 and 3 years old, I know that feeling. It's absolutely stunning, Or maybe when you sit with your senses wide open in nature, you just kind of awestruck. The heart opens. Or maybe when you look deeply into the eyes of a loved one and feel their goodness and you really get them. That's the natural perfected heart-mind in those moments. That doesn't have to be created or trained in any way. It's just there. But as everyone here has experienced, that's not exactly accessible all the time, that it's sometimes covered over with a good dose of anxiety or fear or anger, guilt, shame, doubt, whatever, difficult stuff. Covers over who we really feel we are at our essence. And sometimes it's covered over for a long time, So classically, these energies that obscure are called the hindrances, but I've come to not like that term. I want to find a different translation for it. And so I refer to them as survival energies or challenging energies. And on the most positive note, supportive friends or gifts of my kinfolk or limbic lovers, So, and traditionally, as many of you know, they're broken out into 5 categories. And we've all, as humans, we all experience these over and over in various forms. And the first large category we could call the wanting mind. It's that graspiness. It's I want this, I want that. It could have to do with lust. The second category is the, we could say it's the not wanting mind. It has flavors of aversion in it. Anger, fear, actually guilt and shame are in under that umbrella also. So you have the wanting, and then you have the not wanting. And we often spend a lot of our life like trying to grab for things that we want or get rid of things we don't want. It's just natural to be in being human. Another category is restlessness and worry. I mean, who doesn't know restlessness and worry? The third category is sleepiness and dullness, classically called sloth and torpor. It's that kind of sinking feeling. And finally, the last category, very, very tricky and insidious one, is doubt. Okay? So all of us are familiar with these energies. And again, the case that I want to make tonight is that as difficult as any of these energies are in these 5 categories, they are the organism loving itself. Okay? There are these primal energies that arise. They're driven by our survival instincts. They come out of the deep subconscious from the more primitive parts of the brain, and they're part of who we are. They're vigilant, and they're designed to ensure your survival. They're your inheritance from your ancestors. Those brilliant beings, your kin. So, although driven by survival, their deepest intent is one of care. Attempting in their own way to comfort you, have you avoid pain, protect you in some way, connect you with others in the tribe, and basically guarantee your survival. And they want to guarantee your survival forever. That's what they're at. Now, that being said, these energies oftentimes are misguided. And you got to be careful that they, because they just don't have a lot of wisdom. They're driving for survival. Wisdom isn't their main thing, And if you're unaware of their activity, and this is where mindfulness comes in, that we're more and more aware of their activity. If you're unaware of their activity, and if the moment-by-moment mindfulness isn't strong enough, then it's easy to get enslaved by these energies. The wanting, the aversion, the restlessness, the worry, the doubt, sloth. And they can make a mess of our lives. And we've all had that experience where things have gotten out of balance. One of these energies has kind of gotten hold, we didn't notice it, and then there's something we have to adjust or clean up. You know. But I have discovered over the years that recognizing when they're active and holding these energies with respect and appreciation as protectors and allies, almost as lovers, is the way to go. It brings a kind of softening countenance to our work here as humans. Because if you hold these energies, wanting, lust, anger, restlessness, doubt, guilt, etc., as your enemy, that's got to be defeated in some way or suppressed, it just sets you up for internal strife and kind of internal warfare, fragmentation, and in the worst case, self-loathing. That's a deep, dark hole. So, if it's wanting that is up for you, wanting a something or wanting a someone that happens to be up, a softening perspective when you notice it is that the wanting is trying to bring you what's needed for comfort. If it's a thing that you want, your organism is trying to bring you something for comfort. And if it's a someone you want, it's about connection. It's wanting to be connected. That's all very natural. The organism trying to support itself. And if you're noticing one of the aversive qualities, like fear is here, okay? That simple knowing that fear is here, that it's happening now, if it can be received with a soft perspective, fear is trying to protect you from some danger, some perceived danger. It may not be real, but the organism is activated in fear as a form of trying to protect you, keep you safe. And at times that's really useful, okay? But at times it's misguided. We know that. It's a survival remnant, these energies. The organism is trying to take care of itself, and it's loving itself. And if we use that perspective, that softening perspective, it can bring up some empathy for ourselves. Self-empathy, so to speak. And some self-compassion for ourselves. Look, this is hard. I feel fearful, It's the basic kindness we can show ourselves that we would show to somebody else who was fearful. Or a child, It's deserving, that kindness. Can we do it for ourselves? But it starts with that perspective. Fear is not the enemy. It's trying to protect us. So, I hope you're getting it, that these energies you're experiencing, they're not the enemy. And it was a huge step in my practice when I finally got that these energies that were appearing on a regular basis were not something that got in the way of my practice, but a critical part of it. To be included, to cultivate a way of embracing them, cultivating a softer, loving relationship with these energies, these very human energies. And so the category of restlessness and worry, oh my gosh, how many hours have we all dealt with restlessness and worry? I mean, it's countless. Anybody notice the mind planning a lot? Anybody notice moments when it's not planning? Maybe that's a better way to say it. I mean, a softening perspective on that is your organism is thinking and planning to try to line up everything for your survival. That's what it's trying to do. And the organism wants to live forever in complete comfort. That's why it's always trying to line stuff up. And if it's sloth and torpor, that's an interesting one. And if that's arisen and fogged you in, I mean, one possibility, of course, is you just haven't gotten enough sleep, because that's the way we roll here in this culture. No one gets enough sleep, you know. But if you've gotten enough sleep and you're still fogged in, then it could be that that energy of that kind of molasses-like energy of sloth and torpor is trying to protect you from feeling something difficult. You know, it's like, oh, I don't want you to go there. That's going to be unpleasant. So we'll just fall asleep, you know? I mean, that's well-meaning by our organism in the short term, but as we know, it's a misguided strategy for the longer term. And doubt, another one of those energies, you know. In the limbic love context or the softened perspective context, doubt doesn't want us fooled by anything. It just doesn't. You know, it's better to paralyze the whole system, you know, than to make a wrong move. Better frozen than fooled. You know, that's survival. And at times when we're embarking on something like maybe deepening our meditation practice in some way or whatever, the doubt comes up, oh, this is a bunch of bogus stuff. This isn't the right one for me. I'm not going to, you know, there's a protective element to that. I don't want you to be fooled, you know? And so we get frozen, but then we lose some benefits, you know, without taking a risk. You know, I like to look at, you know, working with these various energy forms is similar to interacting with a partner or a friend, co-worker, you know. All those relationships, any relationship that you have is going to work better when there is some warmth, some empathy, and some trust. And warmth, empathy, and trust is part of what we're cultivating if you can soften your relationship to these energies. You know? It's like, oh, okay, wanting mind, thank you very much. I appreciate you wanting all the latest new gadgets and this and that to make my life perfect and easy. But, you know, maybe I'm not going to go there. But I appreciate, you know? Or I appreciate you putting me to sleep when I really need to be looking at these difficult emotions, but I think I'm going to turn toward them. So there's a kind of appreciation that can grow and create some internal warmth and empathy and compassion. It's the way I've come to see these quote-unquote hindrances. So I encourage you to, as you encounter these energies, to give them a softer look. Know that your body just wants to help you and your organism is trying to do the best and it's your ancestors speaking to you. Watch out. Stay away from that person or whatever it might be doing. Quickly, I want to touch on two other skillful means. And I think let's do a quick little exercise, like a 5-minute exercise. So kind of close your eyes, come into your body, kind of find your position of alertness and relaxation. And I want you to bring to mind something or someone annoying. Not traumatic, just strongly annoying. You know, maybe there's someone in politics that you might find a little annoying. Generally, whatever side of the spectrum you're on, you can find somebody that's strongly annoying. So, find that disagreeable person. See them. Hopefully you've picked one you have a little juice for. Think about them, visualize them. And if you've heard their voice, hear their voice. Kind of imagine being with them in one of their more annoying moments, you know? Just see the scene. Hear them. You know, just get into it. Now, I want you to completely withdraw your attention from that individual. Drop the visualization, drop their talking or whatever they're doing, and just feel what's inside you. Withdraw your attention from the object. Feel what's inside you. Can you feel how that annoyance resides in parts of your body? Where would that be? Feeling directly the experience of aversion in the body. Staying at home with it for a few moments. Is it changing? You know, is it becoming more unpleasant or less unpleasant? But just staying in the body. Now, I want you to, what in Zen is called, take the backward step. And this is how you do it. I want you to release the attention on the changes in your body. And let your attention settle just on the awareness that knows. It's okay, there may be some sensations there in the body from, that you might say that were the result of annoyance. But now just see if it's possible to step even a step backward and feel awareness itself. The awareness that can hold everything with equanimity, that is unstained by any activity that's occurring. Rest your attention there for just a few moments. On the awareness itself. And you might notice that if you can rest your attention on awareness itself, that there may be phenomena that arise and pass in that great vast space of awareness. And it doesn't disturb the awareness. It's just phenomena. Sounds, my voice, other sensations in the body. All of them held, but none of them disturb the awareness. Alrighty, open your eyes. Just a couple of skillful means when we really want something or we're really feeling aversion to something, we can drop the object and have the direct experience of it ourselves. If we really want a person and we're all revved up with lust or whatever like that, it's very interesting to just drop the object and just, this is a complete direct experience of what lust and wanting is like. Or if it's aversion, And then there's that other little backward step we can do. Can I rest in awareness? And there's room. There's room for everything. various phenomena to come and go. So this practice has to do with patience and repetition and courage, the courage to turn toward your experience with as much mindfulness and equanimity and kindness as you can muster in that moment. And some moments we've got a lot, some moments not so much. And these survival energies of your ancestors they're with us. We remember. Whether it's the wanting, the aversion, the restlessness, the worry, whatever. And if we can meet them with acceptance and kindness and appreciation for their sweet intention, doing everything for us, that's great. But we don't need to follow them. That's where the choice point is. So, as we learn to adjust from the object of our wanting or aversion, to the activity inside us, and watch that arc of nature as things come into being, they flower and they dissolve. We watch that whole phenomenon. We do develop confidence in our ability to be with whatever it is. And occasionally taking that backward step, resting in awareness, and experiencing the show as it manifests, arises and passes. So we, our species, if we're going to survive, are really charged with going beyond the reactivity, the constraints of our survival energies. It can't just be about, if we're going to survive, it just can't be about, I need more and more of this and more resources and it's never enough. And I hate that other tribe over there and I'm not working through it. And, it's these contemplative practices have us working on the edge of evolution. So, your contemplative practice gently but surely moves you beyond the patterns of reactivity. Moves you to a clearer, cleaner expression of that naturally perfected heart-mind that's there, that doesn't need us to do anything or create it. That access, that radiance of our wisdom and our ceaselessly compassionate heart. And I want to repeat the little poem that I read last night, and the practice, like the Ryokan poem, like the little stream making its way through the mossy crevices, I too quietly turn clear and transparent. That's us, the little stream. We keep coming back with as much kindness as we have for that moment.